everyone, welcome to my channel where I talk about God goals in grad school. My name is Ashley Freeman and today I am going to continue on my series on personal statements and grad school applications. I'm really excited because I got a lot of questions and today I'm going to be answering how to manage multiple applications, multiple essays, how to deal with that tiny word count and still be able to tell your story, and also how to deal with your failures and your weaknesses in your grad school application. So if this is really interesting to you, then come on in, keep watching, and let's go. So this is the second video in my series where I talk about how to stand out in your personal statement and how to not get rejected from your grad school. And this is based on a lot of experience applying to grad schools, getting rejected from grad schools, and getting accepted into multiple grad schools as well. So I come to you from actual experience. I know how it feels. I have been in your shoes several times, and I've got some degrees to show for it. So I am super excited to be able to pass this on to you so you can learn from my mistakes and learn from my successes so that you can ultimately get to the school of your dreams and really make that impact. I think the cool thing about people who are trying to go to grad school is that you're most likely trying to do something bigger than yourself. And I'm really honored to be able to support you on that journey. The first question is about multiple applications. I know from experience that sometimes you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. Sometimes you want to apply to 5, 10, 15 schools, and that is a lot to manage. Mostly because pretty much everyone requires a personal statement. Pretty much everyone's asking for a similar thing, but there are different twists. And I know you probably don't have a lot of time to do a lot of things, so you want to make sure that you're trying to be the most efficient as possible. Now, I think that that's really great, but it's going to be very important to stay organized. I highly recommend that you put together some kind of document and keep track of the prompts of every single one of your applications, mostly because you want to make sure that you answer the question. I know that you're gonna start off with one great personal statement, probably for your dream school. I'll get to that in a second. But I recommend that you just hold off from copying and pasting and sending those off to every one of those schools, because you don't want to get dinged for not paying enough attention to the prompts. So I recommend getting a set of the prompts down, making sure that you understand the kinds of things that you need to answer for each one, and then you can tailor your personal statement so that you make sure that you do that. Now, I've heard from multiple people, and actually based on my experience, that you don't really want to turn in your application to your top school first. I went through a season where I applied to 15 different grad schools, and I noticed that after every single application, I would, number one, reread my personal statement, and two, find ways to make it even better and more succinct and more clear. So by my 15th application, I had a rock solid personal statement. And wouldn't it be great if that was the application for my top school instead of my last school? So learn from that. You're going to pretty much obsessively read and re-edit your personal statement. So you want to make sure that the first application that you turn in is not the one to your dream school, because I promise you, you will get better as the applications go in and as time passes and as you keep on getting to understand how to make your personal statement better. So to recap, keep track of the prompts, make sure that you are pretty strategic about which application you are submitting when. And then the third thing that I want to make sure that you do is you must proofread. You do not want to tell Stanford that you've always wanted to go to Columbia, because the admissions people will say, oh, great. Well, then we'll go ahead and reject you, and we wish you all the best for Columbia. So please leave some time for this, because you want to make sure that you are staying organized enough so that you don't make that fatal flaw. And that's a fatal flaw. I don't think anybody is going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you meant school X when you said school Y. So please keep that in mind. The next question I received is about trying to tell your story in just tiny word counts. I have noticed along the years that the word count for essays are getting smaller and smaller. And that means you have to be very deliberate with your words. You have to be clear, succinct, but they still don't want you to sleep on the story. They still want to be engaged. They still want to understand your motivations and your purpose and how the school fits into your journey. So I know that it seems pretty daunting, but I want you to notice something. Chances are there are a lot of short answer opportunities in your entire application. So what's going to be very important is that you use every single one of those short answers to reveal a piece about yourself and let that build. So I don't want you to think of your personal statement as the only time where you get to tell your story. I need you to look at your entire application and figure out how you can articulate the best parts of you in each one. That means do not repeat yourself. Once you make a point on one question, now make a different point in your second question and third. And then when it comes to your personal statement, you can tell a net new story that is accumulative. That means it builds on what you have already disclosed in your short answer. It's really important that you don't take them as silos. You don't waste the opportunity to share something new. It's basically a portfolio that tells a fuller picture of who you are. So I want you to make sure that you don't miss the opportunity to take advantage of that. The third question is about your failures, your shortcomings. Maybe it's a lower GPA. Maybe it's a lower test score. Maybe it's something that has to do with family hardships that made it really difficult for you to do your absolute best in academic achievements. I have, two minds when it comes to your failures. My first piece of advice is to make sure that you are using every single bit of that application to show your strengths, and help people understand why they should want you at their school. This is a sales pitch like no other. It's just going to be really important that you put your weaknesses aside for a second and make sure you're hammering your strengths and what is going to make you a valuable member of their community. After you've done that, if you still feel like there's just this glaring dark spot on your application, then I would recommend taking advantage of, there's usually a section where they say, is there anything that you want to describe or talk about that you haven't been able to talk about in the application, that's where you talk about your weaknesses. But like I said, if you truly feel like you need to do that, because I personally do not like to call attention to my weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. I like to call attention to why you need me. And that is not arrogance. Please don't be arrogant. It's not lying. I just wanted people to focus on why you don't want to miss out on Ashley Freeman, because I'm awesome. And look at all the awesome things I've done. And look at all of the awesome accomplishments that I've had. It doesn't matter what happened 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Look at what I did last month. So that's how I think of it. But like I said, if there's something that's just overwhelming and you've even gotten feedback from admissions officers in the past that this is something that you're going to want to explain, do so, but do it in that separate piece of the application. I would not make my whole personal statement about it unless it's just this amazing story in which you're able to show an arc to, there was a moment where I succumbed to this deficit, and over time I have used that to become this absolute rock star. So, there are definitely options to talk about your weaknesses in your personal statement. I would not, unless the ending really justifies focusing on your weaknesses. If that makes sense, put a heart emoji in the comments below. Let me know you're with me. Let me know you made it to this part of the video. It's really daunting to be able to put yourself out there and hope that people get you. And if you haven't seen my last personal statement video, click up here, because I talk about the whole idea of presenting myself, thinking and telling this overarching story that people cared about, and it turned out it really wasn't that effective. I don't want you to fall into that, because number one, grad school applications cost money, and a lot of them are very expensive, and it costs a lot of time too. And we're still in the middle of a pandemic as of recording, so it's just, we gotta pace ourselves, people. We have to pace ourselves, and we want to make sure we put our best foot forward the first time. Now, I am a re-applicant, and I was successful on my second try for business school, and I really have no shame, because I was able to employ a lot of different strategies that, these schools that rejected me, let's see, when was that? The schools that rejected me in, I think, January, February, are the same schools that accepted me by December. And I think that's what I'm gonna cover in my next video. So if that's something that you wanna hear about, give me a thumbs up, and I will take note and get that ready for you. If this video was helpful for you, give me a thumbs up too. I really appreciate the positive feedback, because it helps me know that this is creating value for you. And if you think this would be valuable for someone else, please share it. I am really all about democratizing access to this kind of information, because it was not that easy for me to get it when I was in your shoes. So until next time, stay brilliant.